Digimarcon, the live podcast. I'm your host, Dennis Yu, and today we have David Pisaric, who's the founder and CEO of Wow
Wow.
Digital. And they wow nonprofits by building incredible websites. They even rank on nonprofit website in Canada and other places. And I wanted to ask David, for you guys to see, how did you get into the nonprofit space and having this as your passion?
Yeah, that's a great question. I worked, I guess, even going back before I started working as a child, we've always been involved in volunteering in some way in the community through religious groups and affiliations, youth groups, all that kind of stuff. And I went to college, graduated, and I started working in post secondary education. I was there for about 11 years. And after that, I left and I worked in healthcare. I was at a hospital for just about 5 years. And up here in Canada, healthcare is essentially nonprofit. I was both at the university, the college, and at the hospital. I was doing marketing, web, digital, all that type of stuff. And as I was restructured out from the hospital, I just ramped up freelance. And just by way of who my network was, as I was looking for work, I reached out and I was like, hey, do you have any work?
Yeah.
How can I help? We're not
Yeah.
looking to hire right now,
Yeah.
but we have some projects.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
And just ramped it up from there.
Yeah. And I've seen you guys have worked on tons and tons of well-known nonprofit sites, and you even have a $10,000 grant. So talk about that and why nonprofits should hear this.
Yeah. So anybody out there in nonprofit land, we have a grant. It's a $10,000 give back program, is what we're calling it. It's not a government grant. It's us taking $10,000 off the scope of work if your project is over $25,000, which nowadays it's pretty easy to get there, given all the different facets and components that go into the work that we do.
Yeah. What are some of the biggest mistakes nonprofits make with their website?
Not caring about it. Usually,
Yeah.
usually it's
Yeah.
the long lost cousin that you never heard about, and they just keep dumping information into it.
Yeah.
So what I mean by not caring about their website is they're not actually looking at any of the analytics. Right, that data will give you all kinds of insight as to what the popular content is, and this goes, I guess, spreads across any sector, but specifically in the nonprofit, what is the content that's driving traffic and how can you produce more similar content? If you've got stuff that's bringing
Yeah.
in traffic,
Yeah.
create more content that's like the stuff
Yeah.
that's working.
But David, you're a pro at this. You've been building websites forever. The average executive director, they've got their hands full doing lots of different things, and they'll say they're not technically oriented. I'm sure you've dealt with that. There's a lot of committees. They find some young adult to be in charge of the website and the social media,
Or
and they
volunteer.
yeah, and then it's what happens from there.
Exactly.
So how do they overcome this? It's like going to a mechanic. Your car's broken. You don't know anything about transmissions, but you need to find a reputable mechanic, but you don't know how to tell.
Yeah, the best thing to do is to get a content audit done of your website and start with that. Right?
Yeah.
We have a process that we go through for our clients where we'll output a giant spreadsheet of all of your content, all the pages, PDFs that you have on your website or multiple websites, if you have subdomains or campaign sites or anything like that. And we
Smart.
give that to you as a Google Doc, and you can go through and review it and go, you know what? This stuff here is really old. Our best practice is current year plus 2 years previous of content. So if you think about your news releases, your blog articles, anything like that you have on your site, if it's more than 2 years old, if it's more than 3 years old, it's probably out of date, not relevant.
Yeah.
And I would bet a gigantic amount of money that it's probably not even getting traffic.
Yeah. And then you're measuring how many donations, how many registrations, how much traffic, how many rankings, the performance of that content in your content audit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things we look at is we dive into Google Analytics or Adobe Analytics, whatever platform you have, we'll dig into that and we'll take a look. I would bet majority of your traffic that you've got to your website is only going to maybe a dozen pages,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So let's take a look at the old content. Maybe there's a legal reason you have to keep some. Maybe you have a really big patron that gave $1 million to build a new wing at your school that you work at, or at the hospital, they bought a bunch of ICU beds or something. So
Yeah.
there might be legal reasons to keep some old stuff, but most of the time you can just
Yeah.
toss it.
Tell us about one of your favorite success stories.
One of my favorite success stories for Care Canada, we built a landing page for a campaign, and I think it was about 3 to 4 hours of effort.
Hmm.
They raised over, I think it was $40,000 with
Some
that.
pretty good ROI.
That's solid ROI. One of our other companies, not companies, sorry, one of our other nonprofits that we work with, based out of New York, they've asked that I don't tell anybody who they are.
Hmm.
We built a page for them,
Hmm.
and it was for a specific religious campaign that they were
Hmm.
running over a period of a month.
Hmm.
They raised over $2 million with it, and we
Wow.
spent, I think, about 8 hours.
Wow. That's a pretty good hourly ROI. Do you use Google Grants, David?
We don't use it ourselves, but we definitely recommend to all of our clients that they do have it. It's $10,000 US a month in free ad revenue from Google.
Yeah.
I don't believe that Google actually gives you the same space as real
I,
paid
there's
ads.
limitations on that, but we've done webinars with Google, and the nonprofits love to blame Google. The consultants love to blame Google, but you know what? It's run through the same system, the
Okay,
same algorithm. So it's not like there's a personal bias. I mean, yes, $2 min CPC, search only, no search partners. Can't be e-commerce. You can't be selling cars. Can't be religious or political. But there's ways around that. You have to be managing the campaign. Your quality scores have to be at least a 7 or 8. Otherwise, they will eventually say you're not maintaining it and then shut you down. But I mean, there's those things. But I mean, if you're watching your campaigns, then it's free. It really is. You know, less than 10% of nonprofits even spend $1,000 of the 10,000 a month they get. We have talks
it's
with
hard.
Google about how shameful this is of free money. Like if you're out there fundraising, why not start with the free money from Google?
Absolutely, right? Like, they're giving it to you. They are the kings of search out there, and leverage their platform. People
Yeah,
are using it, right?
yeah,
They're it's embedded in all the apps. It's embedded. It's online. It's everywhere. And if you can get in front of one person,
that's right.
right? That's maybe a $5 donation, $1,000 donation that you got that you wouldn't have had before.
Yeah, and they even get on your list, and eventually they donate because come Christmas time or whatnot for the fundraising. I'll give my favorite tip
Sure.
for nonprofits because I've audited hundreds of Google Grant campaigns. Because I'm a search engine PPC guy. If you guys have a ton of social media from galas and 5Ks and fundraisers and all that kind of stuff, and most people just they post on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever, repurpose those into blog posts. And then you can run Google Grants to the names of those people or to those particular topics. Because the main reason why people don't spend under Google Grants is because they don't have enough content to allow the keyword portfolio. Like you have to. The reason you're not spending is you need to have a broader range of keywords, not just your cause, like homeless shelter city name. Like okay, there's only so many people searching on that, but other things that are related, like you have a celebrity or somebody who's involved in the community, and if you run that to a web page that happens to embed the social content or repurpose the content, which we're going to talk about in 5 minutes on stage, that's a great way to leverage search and social at the same time.
Absolutely, right? If you can create one piece of content that you can split across multiple areas,
Mm-hmm.
why why waste your time trying to come up and brainstorm and create new stuff you've already
Yeah.
got? Split it up, reuse it, repurpose.
Amen. Couldn't have said it better. And we're going to talk about that in 5 minutes.
Love it.
Ladies and gentlemen, David Pissarek, Wild Digital, also the MC at Digimarcon Toronto. Thank you guys. And let us know, what do you think? We're live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So
Solid.
just like you said, repurposing, this is 4 pieces of content we made in 5 minutes. See,
Amazing.
we're practitioners. See you guys later.
Have a good one.